All right, we are in Consumer Math Lesson 3-4. We're talking about 401ks. Today's date is Monday, November 9th, 11/9, 2020. The main thing that we need to know is the difference between a 401k and a traditional IRA, because they almost are indistinguishable except for some really important features. The other thing I'm going to be talking about today that I didn't have room to write in our objective is how do you manage your retirement accounts when you switch your job, especially for a 401k. That's why I'm talking about it today, because a 401k is typically attached to your job. So when you change your job, what do you do? So I want to talk about the similarities first, because they almost are the same thing. So with a 401k and traditional IRA, again, it's a deferred tax tax, which means when you get your paycheck, some of the money goes into your 401k, some of the money goes into your traditional IRA, but it's not taxed. It gets taxed at the very end when you make a withdrawal. And again, we know from our mini debate on Friday, that a 401k and a traditional IRA are really good if you're really rich, and if you want to Roth IRAs are better for people that are just starting out, or people that just like more flexibility, I guess. Typically, younger people want Roth IRAs because you all are all going to be in a low tax bracket. You can only make more money in a 401k or traditional IRA when you're in a high tax bracket, and you'll be in a lower tax bracket once you retire. By the way, I believe I was looking it up last night. A Roth IRA, you can be like 18 years old and then just immediately start it. Like, you can just do it right now. I don't know. Is anyone 18 right now? As long as you have a paycheck, you can invest in a Roth IRA. I would like open one up ASAP. I was gonna do that, but I have to worry about credit card debt right now. A savings account, open up a Roth IRA. I highly recommend it, because if you want to start investing, that's the way to go. All right, so deferred tax. Other things that you have, no capital gains, right? That's the whole point. No capital gains tax. That means when Anna opens up her Roth IRA, her 401k, her traditional IRA, whatever it be, she'll make her investments, she'll sell her stock and then buy another stock. And when she sells, she won't have to pay tax. Every single person today that just sold their stock to reinvest into a different stock, you would have had to pay a capital gains tax. So I don't know why I spelled capital gains with a T. It's gains with an S. Sorry about that. Other thing that 401k and traditional IRA are the same. You have to wait until you're 59.5 years old. 59.5 years until no penalties. I'm going to super abbreviate because we've talked about this like multiple times. So you have to wait until you're 59 and a half. After that, then you can start taking out money. If you take it out before you're 59 and a half years old, then you get a 10% penalty. So I'll put over here 10%. I'll just say penalty, PEN, stands for penalty. Don't take it out before that. Although maybe, actually, I'm going to wait for the 10% penalty. I'm going to put the 10% penalty over here, because it's a little bit different with a 401k. But you have to wait until you're 59.5 years old. You also will pay the tax when you withdraw. Pay tax when you withdraw. I can't spell. Withdraw money. Can anyone loan Gunner some paper? Jose is the paper donor. The other thing that I forgot to mention in our original traditional IRA lesson is you actually get penalties if you never take out that money. If you just want it to go exponentially big without actually taking out, they will penalize you for it. So you need to take out money. You have to take out money. Take out before you turn 70 and a half. So it's weird, right? There's this sweet spot between 60 and 70 years old, with, again, half a year on each side of that, so 59.5 to 70.5. But between 60 and 70, that's the idea when you want to start taking out that money. If you don't take it out, then they will start, you will start incurring some fees. That's what I'm looking for.
What if you're not retired till you're like 69 or something like that?
Then you should be taking it out while you're retired, or while you're not retired. So again, the traditional IRA and 401k, you can take it out at any time. If you take it out before 59.5, you get fees. If you take it out after 70.5, you get fees. If you're still working and you're at like 65 years old, you can still take that money out and just means more money for you, right? Other things, another thing that I forgot to talk about with 401ks that are also included on traditional IRAs is they accelerate after 50. So I'm going to write the words accelerate. Accelerate after you turn 50 years old, after 50 years. What that means is, you know how there's that 6,000 cap on traditional IRAs? Well, that cap is way bigger. Like, oh, shoot, you forgot to invest in your traditional IRA. You can double that. Instead of investing $6,000, we'll let you invest $12,000. So after you're 50 years old, they'll allow you to put more money in. And that's because sometimes people forget to actually put money in their traditional IRA or their 401k. And they're like, well, I really need to plan for retirement and I'm capped. Well, I'm in a tough spot. Okay, that's all the similarities that I can think of. Is there anything else for a traditional IRA that we're forgetting?
I just have one question.
Yeah.
Why do they start charging you after you turn 70?
Because exponential growth is really powerful. And if you just leave it in there, it will get really, really big, really fast. They want you to start taking out money.
Can you do that for Roth? Like, do they charge you if you don't take out?
I don't know about the Roth. I would guess so, but I'm not sure. I didn't research that. All right, let's talk about where they're different. So their caps are different. So the traditional IRA, at least in 2020 when we're recording this, is capped at $6,000 per year. And remember, like in 2008, this was $5,500 a year. When Khan was recording his original video, it was $5,000 a year. So when you guys are actually probably in a traditional IRA, it's probably going to be higher than $6,000 a year, but not by much. Maybe an increment of $500 more. It might be $6,500 when you guys are actually doing it, or maybe it's $7,000. But whatever it is kind of low. With the 401k, it's been consistent over the past decade. It has been capped at, and it's huge, it's $19,500. 19,500. And that has not changed. It could change, but it hasn't. 19,500 per year, which is way more. Why? And it's because of this next one, which is really cool. The money that you invest in your 401k is matched by your company. Again, you want to think of the 401k as managed by your company. So maybe you work for, I don't know, Amazon. Amazon will be like, hey, if you put in $12,000 into your 401k, we'll give you another $12,000. Sometimes companies will double it. Sometimes even more. As long as it's under this cap of 19,500, they will match that. So if you want to invest 200, you only get 400 because they'll match that. So the bullet point here is it's matched. And I'm just going to say matched, and you'll know in your mind, that means that your company, whatever your company is working for, they will match whatever you pay. Well, and this isn't always true. Sometimes the company won't ever match it. Sometimes the company will give you 50%. So if I invest $100 in my 401k, they'll only give you $50. But hey, it's free money into your, I guess it is an investment, your retirement account, which is awesome. It's a huge difference from a traditional IRA. A traditional IRA is typically not through the company. It's all on your own. Monse, you want to go get a traditional IRA? Go Google one right now and set it up. If you want a 401k, it has to be through a job. So a traditional IRA is not matched. It's only you. It's an individual. So I'll say not matched. The other kind of big difference here is a 401k, the investments. Again, you want to think about all of these IRAs, 401ks, Roth IRA, traditional IRA. They are a way to trade stocks without getting any capital gains tax. The problem with the 401k is your company sets restrictions, or sometimes even altogether, your company is like, we are 100% in charge. We are all going to go into this one stock and you're with us. So this 401k, stricter stocks, I guess. They choose maybe a category of stocks, or specifically, hey, here are 10 stocks that you are allowed to invest with. It is very, very restrictive. Whereas a traditional IRA, you can do whatever you want. any stocks you want. You want to go for penny stocks? Go for it. No restrictions. And then we have one final thing. The final thing for a 401k is, actually, let's talk about the traditional IRA. Whenever you withdraw before 59.5 years, so before 59.5 years, you pay that 10% penalty. With a 401k, you also pay that penalty, but you can do something else. You can actually borrow from your 401k. So allows borrowing. If you borrow, that's not taking money out. You do not incur that 10% penalty, but you are now charged interest on the amount that you borrowed as if you borrowed it from the bank, which is kind of silly, right? Your own money you're borrowing against, and you have to pay a percent back, which is really cool because if you're in a tight spot and you need $10,000, but I'll be able to pay that back, that $10,000 within like 2 or 3 years. Yeah, go ahead and borrow that $10,000. It's better than the bank because it's your own money, and then you just pay it back. And when you pay that 10% back, that goes into your own investment. It is really, really nice. So it isn't as flexible as a Roth IRA where you just get to take that money out and it's all tax-free. You have to borrow that money. I am not 100% sure if you have to pay taxes when you borrow the money. I'm going to go ahead and assume yes, you do, but I'm not sure. But you can borrow and you have to pay some percent back as if you're borrowing it from the bank. That's 401k. Someone asked a question. Let me know how I did. Is there total confusion? Is there anarchy? What's going on?
You made this one so much better than any IRA.
Well, it's not. I mean, you still have to pay tax at the very end, so it's not as loosey-goosey as a Roth IRA. But yeah, 401k is really, really nice because if it's set up with your employer, like being matched, just this one fact alone, maybe we all want to like circle it or start. Like this is huge. This is way, way different than any retirement account that we've talked about so far, because it's doubling your money sometimes, maybe even tripling your money depending on your company. Oh, you invest $100, we'll give you $200. We'll double whatever you put in there. Please, please invest. They are really concerned about you retiring. Why do people want you to retire? You want to be thinking about the young blood. The young blood comes in and they're full of energy, full of passion. And once you get old, you're lazy, you just want to retire. We want you out of here. Go ahead and retire at the very earliest. At 59.5 years, you're out of here, boys, girls, whatever. They want you to retire really, really early. Maybe that's why they want to match you so well. Okay, so because a 401k is managed through your company, what happens if you go to a different company? That's kind of the second big point of today's notes. And you have a lot of options. You choose whatever is best for you. There's 4 options and one of them is terrible. I'll talk about each of them. So the question over here is, what happens to your 401k when you go to a new company or when you work for a new company? Are you taking notes, Gunnar?
Is company also like school district or whatever you're working for?
No, it is actually not. So in schools, I really want to have a full lesson on schools, but I have a feeling it might only apply to me and Anna. How many people are interested in becoming a teacher when they're older? Yeah, it might just be for you and me. Although it is kind of interesting. Like maybe you guys are all curious about how your teacher's stuff works. It's very different. We don't have any of these 3 things. We don't have a Roth IRA. We do not have a 401k. We do not have a traditional IRA. A teacher's is something way different. And it's, in my opinion, better. It's less funny, it's less fun, but it is way, way better. Like your retirement package as a teacher is guaranteed, and the amount that it's guaranteed is a crazy amount of money. It's pretty nice. And it's not, you do have to pay into it, but the amount that you get out is usually super worth it. Maybe I should talk about it so maybe I can convince one more person to become a teacher, right? Maybe for another day. Okay, so what happens when you work for a new company? So let's go ahead and say you work for company A, now you're working for company B. You have 4 options. Option 1 is you do nothing. Another way of viewing that, another perspective is you leave it with company A.
But you still get it when you retire?
So that 401k is yours. Anna, if you have that 401k and you worked at company A, but you moved to company B, that 401k at company A is yours. It is slowly accumulating interest. The problem with leaving it there is if you have a new employer that has a 401k option and they're matching your income, you now have to worry about two separate retirement accounts. Yes, your new company will match it probably just like your old company did, maybe a slightly different rate. Maybe instead of 100%, they do 50% or something like that. But you do have to set up a second account, which is kind of annoying because you have to remember two different logins, two different passwords, but it's going to be almost the same amount of money. It's just more of a headache to try to manage your accounts, which is especially difficult if you're planning on moving between 4 or 5 companies. You don't want 5 401ks. I mean, you can, and you just have to remember how to log into each of them and keep track of all of them. But it's way, way nicer to have them all under one. And that's an option. That's option 2. And option 2 is transfer it to company B. Transfer to company B. You take all of that amount of money, like say you had, I don't know, $100,000, that $100,000 is now in company B's 401k, and company B will continue to match whatever you put in. Typically, this is what everyone should be aiming for, usually. But again, do whatever's best for you. If you think that company A has some sort of better security or their program is slightly better, leave it there. It's okay. You can have 2 accounts. But typically speaking, you want one nice account. It's just easy to log into that same account over and over. No new password, no worrying about multiple accounts. It's nice. What about option 3? I'm trying, I can only remember 3 options. I know there's 4. Oh, option 3. You don't transfer to company B, you transfer to some other IRA, to maybe a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA. I'm just going to say some other IRA. Why would you ever want to do this? For a lot of reasons, actually. So remember, an individual retirement account, the acronym IRA, that if it's not a 401k, if it's not managed by the company, it is now yours. Let's say, Jenny, you had a 401k, you had $150,000 in your 401k because your company was matching it and you were putting in a ton of money. You want total control over what you invest in. But your company B says, oh, no, you got these 5 stocks. That's it. You're like, well, I really, really want to invest in like clean energy and these other companies that I really value. You need to switch to a regular IRA, which you can do in the middle of working for a company. You don't have to wait until you transfer to a different company. There is a way to transfer your 401k to a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA. But this is an option. Maybe you're like, Jenny, this is the time for me. Like I've been wanting to transfer to a regular retirement account for a long time. I'm tired of being constrained by these restrictions. Let's go ahead and convert to this to a Roth IRA or something. And then you convert to a Roth IRA. You have 100% control of your account now. You can invest in Amazon. You can invest in clean energy, anything you want now. You have in complete control. So that's maybe why you want to do option 3 here. And then finally, option 4, which is the worst option. But if you're in a tight spot, it works for you. Option 4, cash it out. And I'll put in parentheses, transfer to a bank. If you cash it out, that just means it lives in your bank account, or if you're really, really, idiotic, you'll just stuff it in your mattress. Because when your house burns down, that money's gone also, right? It's not very secure. A bank is federally insured, so if that money is gone up to, what is it, $100,000, they will give you back that $100,000. If you have over $100,000, don't put it in the bank, because if it gets stolen, if it gets robbed, you only get up to $100,000 back. That's how federal insurance works. Multiple banks. Spread it around between 7 different banks. Each individual bank is federally insured up to $100,000. That's what you do. But if you cash it out, you have to pay taxes, which is terrible. And also, when you cash it out, you're not getting matched. There's a bunch of bad things happening. You're paying that 10% penalty. But if you're I don't know, switching jobs and you're like, I'm going to move to Ireland or I'm going to move across the world and I need a lot of money to do that. I have $0 in my bank account. Yeah, you might need to cash it out because you're in a tight spot. Maybe you realize that, I don't know, let's go ahead and say the zombie apocalypse is only happening in the United States. You really want to move elsewhere, but you don't got the money for it. Yeah, go ahead and just cash it out, right? In an extreme emergency, cashing it out is an option, but typically it's bad because it incurs that 10% penalty. Those are your 4 options. Typically, you want it to transfer. All right, that's a 401k. With my remaining time, I am going to talk about teacher stuff. So you can totally ignore me now if you want. But if you're kind of interested, I would pay attention. Otherwise, you have study hall. I'll keep recording this. So the way that Anna, I'm guessing you're going to be a teacher in the United States, maybe?
Well, I want to do international teaching for some time, but I'll probably end up settling in the US.
Okay, I should have you talk with Mike Boucher because he is an international teacher and he knows a lot about it.
That'd be cool.
Um,
I do need to do a career interview for junior thesis.
okay, and is it with an international teacher?
Well, I don't have one yet. I was thinking about going for a supervisor because she was also an international teacher.
Okay, yeah, this guy is very energetic and will try to sell you really hard on get your credential in California or whatever in the United States, and then just start working everywhere throughout the world. You get a transfer every like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, that's kind of what I want to do for at least some time.
Yeah, he did that for a long, long time, and he thinks everyone should do it. He's been trying to convince me and my wife to do it, but I don't know. We really should, because there's like free childcare. You get basically a mansion. Everything is paid for you. You get a ton of money. You don't have to worry about like taxes. Well, kind of taxes, but like there's so many nice things. I don't know why we haven't done it. We're just scared of moving, maybe.
Yeah.
No, you don't. You're renting a mansion. They don't give you a house. You rent something, and it's usually a really, really, really nice place.
So if they like own it, then pay it off, or
What do you mean?
like if someone like owns a mansion, like do they usually like try to convince them to sell it to them, or
No, they're like, oh yeah, I'll donate this to the teacher. They pay me rent, and then the rent is paid through like the program. So you're just a renter at the really nice place, and it's not a mansion. Sometimes it is, but usually it's just a really, really nice place. At least the program that I'm thinking about. There might be other ones. Okay, so the way that being a teacher works is you invest into something. So I'm gonna do. We're kind of done with the notes, but I want to talk about what about a teacher? A teacher doesn't have any of those options. A teacher has what's called CalSTRS, CalSTRS, CalSTRS. And CalSTRS works by, I don't know exactly what percent of your money you put into it, but you pay some amount of money into it, but it's that money is spread out between everyone else that's in CalSTRS. Think of this as kind of like a community funded retirement account throughout the United States. So it's a really, really big program, but it has some guarantees. It guarantees, I think it's like after 2013, I'm trying to remember the date, but definitely for you and me, if you're a teacher after that certain date, you're in the 2% at 62 program. And this 2% is kind of important, but generally the formula for our retirement on it is going to look like this. It's going to be number of years of service, as one of the 3 factors of your retirement, times some percent. And your percent really, really varies. You have to look like at a table. I think if you retire at like 65 or something, your percent is like 2.4. It's usually that percent is somewhere between like 1.5 to 2.4. I know that 2.4 is the maximum because I'm planning on working the maximum. But some percent that's between, it's less than 2.4% for sure. And also times your 3-year average. I should say 3-year high average. So typically speaking, the last 3 years of our teaching career, Anna, you want to be making bank. You want to be saying, I want to coach volleyball. I want to coach basketball. I want to be the one that people come to if they have a tech problem. I want to design a website. I want to do as much as I can for this school so they pay me a ton of money because that will raise my average over those 3 years. So you're gonna work like crazy those last 3 years if you're doing it right. So how does this work? So let's calculate Mr. Sindel, for example. So I started working when I was 23, and I want to retire after 40-ish years. So let's say I'm going to work for about 40 years. Hopefully, if I don't know what that table looks like exactly, maybe I can go look it up, but I'm going to go ahead and say that's going to be at the end of the spectrum, so at 2.4%. And I don't know, I'm going to be making bank. Let's say that my 3-year average, let's say I'm doing something crazy, I'm making like $100,000 a year, which you can do with teaching. It's really hard to get to that level. So what does that look like? I do 40 times 2.4, 40 times 2.4, 2.4. So I'm making 96% of $100,000. So I say that times 100.
That goes into your retirement figure.
Yeah, hold on, I'm not quite there. Divided by. So that means each year I'm being paid $96,000. So that means 96,000 a year they're giving me, which means if I do 96,000 divided by 12, that means they're paying me $8,000 a month for the rest of my life, no matter what. Notice that this is not attached to the stock market. It is not attached to, oh, are you going up or are you going down? It is a guarantee saying, hey, if you sign up to be a teacher and you invest in CalSTRS, which everyone is kind of required to do, you are guaranteed, and I'm hoping that this is going to be me in, well, not 40 years, I've been teaching, so in 35 years, I'm hoping that they're just going to give me $8,000 a year for the rest of my life, no matter what. Not depending on the stock market at all.
Yeah, so teachers are just kind of like, you just put your money into that organization and then they give it to you when you retire.
Yeah, it is a guarantee. It's pretty nice. Although there's a lot of things that go behind the scenes, like what if CalSTRS runs out of money? Well, they guaranteed me that money, so somehow they have to come up with it. And typically the way that they come up with it is they say, because you know how I said at the very beginning, how much do you pay into it? It's variable. Sometimes you have to pay more money into it to make up for the fact that there's not enough money in that
Is it
giant
one
program.
payment or a yearly?
You pay it every month. It comes out of your monthly paycheck.
Oh,
Yeah. In fact, you want to come look at my pay stub to see what it looks like? Let's go to,
but they also, like, schools also provide like health insurance and whatnot, right?
yes, and that's another kind of really big thing. Pay stubs. I'll just put it up here too.
Okay.
Log into Eastern Sierra, password manager. Oh, I should probably stop recording because I think there's going to be personal information on here, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll pause it for now. Maybe I can cut out stuff.